Today on the newscast, Iran nuclear talks restart in Vienna, and on cue, an Iranian general vows to annihilate Israel. Get all the breaking details coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. I hope everyone had a great and restful Thanksgiving weekend. It was a bit of an eventful weekend here. I was supposed to travel to Israel yesterday, Sunday, November 28th, for a week of brand new Watchman productions on the ground. Unfortunately, if you followed the headlines this weekend, you know that Israel closed its borders to all foreign travelers for the next 2 weeks at least. So at the last minute, literally, I had to cancel my trip. Who knows when I will get back? Hopefully sometime soon in early 2022. We will keep you posted. Frustrating situation due to these ever-shifting COVID regulations and restrictions in Israel and other countries around the world, and now this new variant. So very interesting times to say the least, but I'm here with you stateside all week, and we've got to talk today about the nuclear talks, the Iran nuclear talks restarting in Vienna. We've had this date circled on our calendars, right? November 29th, and not for good reason. World powers, including the U.S., meeting with Iranian officials today in Vienna. We're going to dig into that in a minute. Real quick programming note before I start. Tonight, Monday, November 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TBN is our Hanukkah special. I'm joined by Dennis Prager, Rabbi Jonathan Bernis, Jason Sobel, the spiritual advisor for the blockbuster TV show The Chosen, plus on-the-ground reports in Israel on why Hanukkah matters for Christians. Why should followers of Jesus care about this holiday unfolding over the next 8 days? Well, the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 22, says that Jesus went up to Jerusalem to observe Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication, and of course, we've got the Maccabees, the legendary freedom fighters, and their struggle for religious freedom is more relevant today than ever, and there's much more, a lot of biblical significance. So check it out tonight on TBN, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, our Hanukkah special. Fascinating stuff. Don't miss it. Okay, let's get into the topic at hand today. Nuclear talks restarting in Vienna today. Iranian officials, there was some question whether they would even show up in Vienna, but they are indeed there, folks. And they are meeting with officials, diplomats from Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and China. And the United States is also there, but not in the room with Iranian officials. For the U.S., these are indirect talks, and U.S. officials are reportedly, I guess, in an adjacent room as these meetings are going on. That was one of Iran's requirements to come back to the negotiating table. Their other big requirement is that the United States must drop all sanctions. Every last sanction that has been imposed upon the Iranian regime over the past few years, the Iranian regime wants out the window. What that means is sanctions are lifted and the Iranian regime is gift-wrapped billions of dollars in sanctions relief. Where have we seen this before? Oh, that's right, 2015, 2016, the Obama administration did exactly that with the first incarnation of the Iran nuclear deal. According to Israeli, U.S. officials, other world officials, within 2 months, if Iran so chooses, it could break out and have a bomb. So they want to play out the string here. That's the main motivation for the Iranian regime, and get some money coming in via the sanctions relief. And they are essentially saying to the United States, if you don't give us what we want, if you don't lift sanctions, then we will continue to cause havoc throughout the region and beyond. And oh, by the way, we'll target not only Israel and the Sunni Arab states, we will target American personnel and American assets in the Middle East, and we will chase you out, just as what happened in Afghanistan a few months ago. And by the way, the Iranian regime undoubtedly was emboldened and empowered by the Afghanistan debacle, and they feel that they have all the leverage right now in these talks. It's kind of a world turned upside down right now in Vienna, but it appears that the Biden administration is going to play right along, sadly. So those are the stakes. That's what Iran wants. That's what America wants. They want this just to go away. They can check that box, but it's not that easy, folks, as we are learning every day. Here are a few reasons. Because you're watching and you might say, well, what's the big deal? Iran gets the bomb. If you live in America like me, Iran is half a world away, literally thousands and thousands of miles away. We are separated by oceans. So why should I care as an American? Or perhaps you live somewhere in Europe or Eastern Asia even, and you say, what's the big deal? Why can't Iran have the bomb? Here's 3 quick reasons. Number 1, because Iran's regime will use it. They are ideologically driven, folks, and their ideology entails an apocalyptic scenario that involves the destruction of Israel and, yes, the destruction of the country that they call the Great Satan, the United States of America. Here's some comments just yesterday by a top Iranian brigadier general, a spokesman, the spokesman for Iran's armed forces. Remember, this is on the eve of the nuclear talks restarting in Vienna, and this is what he said yesterday. I want to quote him directly, so I will read it straight off of my phone. Brigadier General Abolfazl Shekarchi on Saturday urged the total elimination of the Jewish state. This is in the Jerusalem Post, direct quote. He said, "We will not back off from the annihilation of Israel even 1 millimeter. We want to destroy Zionism in the world." Top Iranian spokesman for their armed forces, Brigadier General, we want to destroy Zionism everywhere and annihilate the state of Israel. As committed as this regime is to destroying Israel, you think if they had the bomb, they wouldn't use it? We could go on about this, folks. The emphasis on martyrdom from the Iranian regime since its very inception in 1979, sending during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s thousands of young Iranian boys to their death with plastic keys around their necks, which they were told were the keys to paradise. These young boys cleared minefields for the Iranian regime, blew themselves to bits for this fanatical regime during that Iran-Iraq War. You're telling me a regime with such a little regard for human life would hesitate to use the bomb? I don't think so. So number 1, they'll use it. Number 2, a nuclear Iran would spark a Middle East arms race. You think it's bad to have a nuclear Iran? What about Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the Gulf states, all vying and racing to acquire the bomb once Iran gets it? How about making the world's most volatile and chaotic region even more volatile and chaotic as the entire region goes nuclear? And you think we won't feel that here in the United States? Think again. By the way, to that end, Iran is also developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. Folks, they do exactly what their name says. ICBMs are not for Israel or Saudi Arabia, even for Europe. Those missiles are designed to travel across continents, across oceans, and you build ICBMs for one reason and one reason only, to mount them with a nuclear warhead. Are you listening? Number 3 reason Iran cannot be permitted to acquire the bomb is because it will give Iran's proxies a nuclear umbrella. Long story short, the next time something breaks out between Israel and Hamas in Gaza or Israel and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon to the north, will Israel be a bit more hesitant to defend itself when a nuclear Iran is looming in the background and saying, if you dare strike Hamas and Hezbollah, there's no telling what we may do in response. Remember, Israel, little Satan, as Iran would say, we've got the bomb now. So a nightmare scenario all around. We're keeping a very close eye on these talks in Vienna. And folks, we will keep you posted. This will be the big story, or one of the top stories for sure, in the Middle East and in the foreign policy realm in 2022. Bank on it. Now, before I go, as I mentioned earlier, I've had 2 trips to Israel canceled in the past month alone due to ever-changing COVID restrictions. Clearly, it's getting harder to get to the Holy Land these days. So why not bring a piece of the Holy Land to your doorstep with an Artza box? It's the perfect gift for the Israel lover in your life. Artza is a unique quarterly subscription box that features amazing products from a different city or region from Israel, all made in Israel by Israeli small businesses. They are now featuring a special Christmas box with 8 incredible products from Bethlehem, Nazareth, Jerusalem, and Galilee. Hey, today is Cyber Monday and the holidays are here. An Artsa subscription is a great gift for anyone in your life who loves God's land and wants to fulfill the biblical mandate to bless Israel by supporting Israeli small businesses. Just go to artsabox.com and use the discount code WATCHMAN18 to get 18% off your Artsa Box subscription. It's a good deal and a great product that we believe in, and we hope you enjoy it. Hey, thanks for joining us here today on the Watchman Newscast. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.